everyone. With the first raid behind us, our gaze goes towards the horizon, wondering what might come next within the Shadowlands. In this video, I want to speculate a little bit, throw up some ideas, some of the story threads that we got from the game. That does mean I'm gonna potentially talk about spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, please turn off the video right now.
And I will set us all free.
What information have we gained by going through the Shadowlands so far? Well, it seems that the afterlife has been designed in such a way that you are supposed to be sorted into a domain depending on how you lived your life. For clarification, the zones that we party in, they're just a small section of the near infinite domains that the Shadowlands hold. This sorting is done so that you fit in the domain. You're gonna be part of the system as it's designed. Kyrians, for example, you will forget who you used to be and perform the role of carrying souls to the Shadowlands, amongst others. Maldraxxi, you're there to keep the Shadowlands safe. Ardenweald, that has the whole cycle of rebirth, but also the option to stick around. While Revendreth is all about paying for your sins in life, until you either become a Venthyr yourself and help the next batch of naughty souls, or you go back to Oribos and be rejudged. But what they pretty much all have in common is that the road that gets you there, the path that you walk, it all produces anima. A resource that seems to have two purposes. One, they use it to keep the domains going, and two, it is used to keep the jailer locked away within the maw. If that's what they use the anima for, to keep the anima farm running and keep the banished one locked away, that makes it seem like it's artificially set up for just that specific purpose. Zovaal was not locked up since the dawn of time after all, an imprisonment that was done by the Pantheon of Death, but we're still not exactly sure what the brother did to deserve that fate. A betrayal is mentioned, the Archon calls him a monster, but apparently not everybody sees him that way, considering that he has been able to gather some allies to his side. Allies like Devils, disillusioned by the path offered by the Archon. She listened to the jailer's words and learned of the great injustice thrust upon him, upon them all. Imagine that she found out about the path of the Kyrian, the whole giving up on who they used to be, to very souls without judgment, feeding the Shadowlands' anima, all that to keep the jailer locked away, and just never be told about this. Then she got in touch with him. She was like, what the heck? Why did they imprison you? You seem like a really nice bald man. Why have I been unknowingly helping them? That's what pushed her to the jailer's side, to then set up the Forsworn. She's already been taken care of though, but Lysonia and Uther, they're still out there. In the future, Lysonia is also going to be dealt with. Well, Uther, he needs some time to think about the events that happened. Tossing Arthas directly into the maw, the Forsworn tied to the powers of the jailer. Speaking of Arthas, where is he anyways? And what effects did Uther's choice have on the overall story?
Not vengeance. Justice.
Muzala is another ally, mostly motivated by power. We've helped Bonsumdi dominate his former boss. He is in chains and will be used in a future Ardenweald campaign to figure out what other devious things they've done to Ardenweald, what other souls have been stolen and taken to the maw. Vol'jin Spirits is also going to play a part in this, the storyline that they build up in Battle for Azeroth, trying to figure out what happened with his spirits. Last we saw of him on the beta was entering one of Ardenweald's pods. We know that Bonsumdi was once a troll elevated to his status by Muzala. Will Vol'jin also be turned into a Loa as well? Then Helya, motivations unknown, and also didn't have a whole lot of story during the beta times, so still to be revealed. She was brought to the jailer's side by Muzala. Hopefully, we're gonna learn more about the deal that she made with Sylvanas, all that was going on in Legion.
Remember our bargain, Banshee. Do not dare cross me.
Kel'thuzad, perhaps because he was so loyal to the Lich King, that it now flows into the power behind the Lich King. He is confronted during the Necrolord and Venthyr campaign. Those two stories, they're going to meld together. The whole business of Maldraxxus going on the attack, that was all manipulated by Kel'thuzad. He's been working really hard at studying ways to escape the maw, and he got that medallion of power that Renethal lost during his first rebellion, gracefully supplied by Sire Denephrius. That medallion will be taken back, but the Lich is able to escape. Well, maybe escape is not exactly the right word, as Kel'thuzad doesn't seem to be overly happy with the idea of being so close at the jailer's side. Sire Denephrius, He does seem to be down with the jailer's plans, as he tells Renethal that it shall be by his will that all is washed away. The only power that will emerge from this torrent of change will be death. Death and those that shaped its victory. That's pretty much all we know about the jailer's motivation. From the WoW website, we read about an ancient force of death that threatens to break its bonds and unravel reality, a conspiracy to unmake the cosmos. At face value, it seems like the jailer is this powerful, evil threat that just wants to break out of its prison and destroy the other cosmic forces of the universe. We're all kinda hoping that there is going to be more at play. For his ally Denethrius, he is defeated at the end of Castle Nathria, but he's not completely gone. His essence is inside the blade Remornia, sealed up with the aid of the light. Renethal hopes that his old friends might one day, a day far off into the future, might step away from this tower and resume his noble purpose once again, the way that the Sire used to be. Because once upon a time, Denethrius actually stood against the jailer and with the Pantheon of Death. The Primus has also told us that the Eternal Ones must stand together against Oval, but with Denethrius stuck in this blade, that might be a little bit difficult. At the same time, the Venthyr Covenant is working really hard at gathering in medallions that the Sire handed out. If we can't get the real thing, then perhaps this pool of power will be enough to substitute. And then of course, Sylvanas Windrunner, the one that got us to follow her into the Shadowlands by shattering the veil between this world and the next. She too is in league with the jailer, and their partnership, it came after she killed herself at the end of Wrath of the Lich King and ended up in the Maw. It could be face value again. Eternal torment was gonna be her destiny, but the jailer offered her way out. All she had to do was ally herself to him. But then, they've also said that he's not her master or anything, and while chatting with her captive Anduin, she had some rather interesting things to say.
All that matters is we now possess the necessary instrument. We must begin its preparation.
Leave him to me. You've seen what he is capable of when he believes in the cause. A measure of patience may yield superior results.
Very well. We have our weapon. Now, we shall hone it.
I do hope you've settled in. The accommodations are a bit sparse, I know.
Where are the others? Are they safe?
Safe? No. I wouldn't say any of them are safe.
I am so tired of your games.
As you wish. No more secrets. No more lies. You are a weapon we will use to achieve our ends.
I will not become an instrument of death.
So you favor life? Is that it? That momentary flicker. Every cruel second spent delaying the inevitable in an endless war that you, like every Rin before you, will not survive. You know the truth. Nothing is fair. Not life, not death. So we're going to tear it all down.
And what purpose would that serve? Everyone suffers, Sylvanas. But destroying everything will not take away the pain.
Oh, you misunderstand. We're breaking a system that has always been flawed and remaking it into one that is just.
Do you expect me to believe that all this time, you've been fighting for justice?
How can I convince you? From our first breath to our last, every decision is made for us. Then, the afterlife decides what eternity we must endure. We can't even choose who we couldn't control anything. But through the jailer, control of our fate will at last be possible.
Look around you! At what and who you've joined. What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
You have a choice to consider. Join us willingly, or be made to serve.
I thought you believed in free will, Sylvanas.
We've never had free will, little lion. But that is about to change.
This conversation is really good, because it says a whole lot, but it also gives room for things not being face value. Apparently, Sylvanas believes that there's no such thing as free will, that every decision in life is predetermined, and then in death, that you get sorted upon choices that you never really had, breaking a system that's always been flawed, and remaking it into one that is just. This kind of falls in line with what we know of the jailer so far. He wants to break out and consume the universe. Death would overtake the other cosmic powers. But balance is important, as we learned in a little side quest of Bastion. There's this eternal tug of war between the cosmic forces of Warcraft, and one taking over the other that would be detrimental. On the other hand, Anduin does raises a fair point. What makes you believe that you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends? Sylvanas thinks that she's been working with a force that will set unjust things right, but who's to say that she is privileged to the full truth behind the jailer? Many have already wondered how someone like Sylvanas could actually ally herself with the jailer, considering how pissed off she was at Arthas for what he had done. It's the jailer that apparently set the Lich King story in motion, not to mention that he has someone like Kel'thuzad on his team. How can someone like Sylvanas ally with those forces? Mysteries and motivations that are still very much unclear, but that is Team Jailer as we know it right now. If they follow Wrath the Lich King's example, then the jailer would also be the M-boss of the expansion. But of course, it's anyone's guess when and how they'll throw these characters at us. I do really wonder how the aftermath of the Shadowlands expansion is going to look. If you look around Oribos, you'll find that regular people from Azeroth, they're just gonna pop in for little visits. There's now a connection between the living world and the afterlife, so general knowledge on how the afterlife works, that could spill out to the general public. Imagine knowing with 100% certainty that if you live your life this way, you're gonna end up in this domain. That's a rather crazy way to live, so I'd be really surprised if the Shadowlands as we see it right now, if that will still stand at the end of our adventure. Be it by taking out the jailer, so that whole system of farming anima will no longer be needed, or dealing with this threat in some other way, the jailer striking out. At the end of the day, I think that the Shadowlands is going to drastically change, or perhaps return to how it used to be before the imprisonment of Zovaal, whatever form that might take. Okay, so that's Zovaal the Jailer. It's been like our main story thread pulling us to the Shadowlands. What else have they been building up? Well, the mysterious brokers in Oribos, they could definitely fill up a patch. So far, they've been super kind to us. They've set up shop in the capital. They make sure that we can transmog ourselves and use the bank. But they've also been rather shady. It's pretty funny that they're the ones that hand out the PvP quest and the rewards. They're pushing the Alliance and the Horde to just keep fighting each other, even while being in the Shadowlands. A chance to study us the way that we fight. Say that you need a being abducted from the homeworld, placed in the arena for amusement and practice. Just don't worry about it, the broker can make it happen. Venari is also a great help, making our stay in the Maw just a little bit easier, but the cartel is looking for her, for some sort of reason, for some kind of betrayal. How does a broker get locked in the Maw anyways? And anything that the brokers do, they do for a price. And when questioned about the motives, Opulence Bahare of Cartel Ba, they remain pretty vague. He is but one of the elders of the Ba cartel. They value the accumulation of information and knowledge. The application of such knowledge, it has the side effect of allowing us to accumulate influence and wealth. We brokers value success and we're not afraid to display the results of our endeavors. Hence the title my peers honor me with. So I influence my beloved cartel in order that they may share my success. I seek only to ensure that we continue to prosper.
Death is the ultimate transaction.
A patch in which the true motives are revealed could be quite interesting, connected to the small hints and stories given to us with Venari. Perhaps deep dive into the background. Where did they come from? Is there perhaps a connection to the Epherios? Artificer Zamux does not die in Castle Nathria. They merely teleport out so could make a comeback later. What are they ultimately after in the Shadowlands? It could make for some really interesting zone designs. And considering how cool their fights have been so far, it could be a whole lot of fun.
Them brokers be up to something. You best be keeping an eye on them.
Then in Ardenweald, we shouldn't forget about the great mystery of the Winter Queen's sister. Speculation on her identity. It seems to be divided between Aeonar and the Loon, but regardless on who it's gonna turn out to be, it's undeniable that this little oddball domain of the Shadowlands, it has a lot going on. Where in a place like Bastion or Revendreth, you might be put to work for the rest of eternity. Ardenweald, it offers you a cycle of rebirth. You could spend some time here, chilling amongst the trees, gather anima in the seed, and you'll be good to go before you know it. You could return to the Emerald Dream, return to the domain that you came from. That's rather different than the other domains, as those so far are purely about death and the afterlife. This one also deals with life. There's a gateway into the Emerald Dream, and parts of the problems caused by the droughts. That would be the Drust invading the domain and trying to abuse this cycle to escape their own Emerald Nightmare. Throws, the Blighted Lands they call it. Now messing with the Winter Queen, it's not gonna end too well. But exploring the source of where they come from, that could be really interesting. We got a minor taste of that while rescuing Jaina Proudmoore during Battle for Azeroth. Diving more into the history of the Drust. Now, we've already dealt with the Emerald Nightmare and the Emerald Dream before, but not exactly extensively. The Dream had its major part to play during one single raid. There's a whole lot more that they could explore there. The Domain of Life itself is quite mysterious as well, potentially infiltrated, if we go by the Enemy Infiltration book. The adherents to life are the most insidious of opponents, perhaps because their nature is so antithetical to our own. Still, we learned much from observing the link between their plane and Ardenweald, and we have a high confidence that a vulnerability has been identified. Our operative has already gained the trust of her targets. Don't ask me who they're talking about here. We've got a video up deep diving into that speculation, but it's quite the mystery. Not to mention the whole Elune Night Warrior storyline that they're building up. Right now in the Covenant campaign, we're desperately searching for a way to save Tyrande from a horrible demise. Elune has been mentioned and credited to be a force opposing Sylvanas' plans.
You've made life your enemy. And that is a war you'll never win.
What or who exactly Elune is, that is unknown as well. But we have learned that she's not just connected to Azeroth. Other planets have her as a goddess as well. It's a great subject to deep dive into while dealing with Tyrande's story. Now, there are some smaller story threads to consider, like Kalia Menethil and the lost bloody crown of Lordaeron, or Oribos having a lot of space to add more gateways, potentially into the other domains of the Shadowlands. The first ones, godlike beings who shape the cosmos, and for some reason their relic responded to us within the Maw. A secret that they have hidden, one that the jailer wants to claim. The missing Primus, potentially being the Rune Carver, with restoring its memories. Anduin being turned into a weapon, by choice or by force. There's a whole lot of things still waiting to be revealed within the Shadowlands. But for now, I think we're gonna wrap things up. By all means, let me know what kind of things you're hoping to see in the future. Any cool raid or zone ideas that you have. Let me know in the comments down below. And for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one. And until next time, see ya!